Hello, everybody. We are live for this journey. Our studio setup. Beautiful. Well, I wanted to hop on and say hello, and we are back from some hibernation or integration. And I've been really excited to tap into what has been transpiring and giving you guys a bit of reflection on what it is that Shanice's Niches is now transformed into the Niche Network. So it's really important that I really wanted to bring this clarity and transparency and more of an understanding why we are now ready to rock and rumble into the Niche Network. So anybody that is joining us, make sure you use the chat if you have any questions. This is what our new platform and structure is going to look like. You're going to be seeing me hop on these lives monthly to help people understand what it is we need to dissect or help bring some light or rawness or realness or some uncut layers and information on this platform. So where do we begin? We begin literally 365 days ago, where we were able to secure our new home and location at Rock Lake Earth Lodge. This is where we felt a calling, actually quite a few years ago, to create a planting of a foundation for a facility, a home, a location, just so it's a hub to get like-minded or people who are struggling into a sacred and safe space to heal, to process, to really dive in and understand what this production of life we've been living can really end its charades. And this is something that's been very important to me because when I was younger, I felt like there was nowhere I can go. And I feel that there was so much limiting resources or ways in your communities that, yes, there was maybe guidance counselors or there was some certain community members that you felt very drawn and connected to. But at the reality, there wasn't any movement or change or expansion into breaking out of traumatic cycles. So journeying through my life, this has been in my back pocket, bubbling, stewing, and brewing, getting ready to finally launch like literally a center hub for those to really collaborate and understand this is where they can come home to. And we've had some feedback about don't call it a home, don't call it a place that is just going to allow people to just use and abuse it. And I've been sitting with that quite a bit because yes, there's a lot of people that don't know how to treat four walls safely or healthily. There's a lot of people that are just begging to be connected in something that they feel heard and understood in. But as the year has progressed, we've seen so much on just a different scale from just being in retreats or readings or meet and greets. We have had now hosting people for a whole summer season, and we've noticed a lot in what society is expecting or what they're needing or what they are using and abusing. There's been every layer of a story, and the lodge itself had been extremely initiated, and I felt that there was so much disrespect and taking that happened that I really felt almost like catapulted back into wondering, what is the purpose of this? What is the destiny that supposedly I'm claiming to really integrate and work with? What is this all for? And so since that time, midsummer to fall, I've really felt that I needed to go within and figure out, what is this actual calling? And when I realized that there's been so many people just um unresponsible for the work and the actions and their words, and seeing it from all layers, either ones that you feel that have been your best friends, people who have been your family, guides, teachers. There's so many layers that I've noticed in this 2023 year about collectiveness and awareness and gatekeeping the theme. And that's where I wanted to have the launch of the December 21st of the insight of what this year of wisdom really brought forward. So I'll save that for that live stream. But it really tied into where Shanice's niches needed to release, because there was a lot of Shanice says this, Shanice is doing this, Shanice said this is what's going to happen. And a lot of people have been doing phenomenal work, and the amazing transformations we've been seeing out of this work since 2015, when I went publicly with Shanice's Niches, to now where we have a lot of great tales of transformation that you'll be seeing, and we'll have podcast and connections with these amazing souls that have really dug in to do and get the work done. And we all know that the work is never done until we do pass on, is my belief system. So the more that we sabotage and keep thinking everybody else is going to fix it for us, I've noticed so much just panic, fears, squeezing out very toxic shadows or vibrations of people's words and actions that are really um, manipulating and trying to create enough chaos to just keep them still normalized in their struggles or their own fears. So when we talk about these layers of when you're healing and processing out so much of these transformations, you have to literally, like a butterfly, going through that metamorphosis, you need to degrade and process all of your caterpillarness so that you can have the new tools and accesses of where you're asking yourself to come forward, or your ancestors or your loved ones wanting to bless you for this forward duration. And with that, it was so much that we've noticed in this process of metamorphosis this year, that Shanice's Niches is no longer just the mom or the cleanup or the service-based action that you can just constantly come for readings and actions to just figure things out for long enough month or few months or a yearly check-in, and just keep feeding off of that. I really know that I need to take responsibility, which I want to make very clear that if you have not been clear or understood, or just choosing words out of my expressions or things that you've just taken at heart and have not allowed yourself to release around maybe a phrase or a story or an existence in our connections, I want you to really sit with that and understand why was that brought up so that you can have the ability to really process out not what Shanice Meat Suit is asking of you, what was channeled to bring freedom or the asking blessing that you wanted out of your sessions, and to really recalibrate what it is you are choosing to really stand up for, or are you still stuck in societal patterns of existing so many people pleasing traits, um, enabling traits, or causing yourself to be totally sidewinded because you don't think you deserve that, but then create a lot of bitterness around you because you are not actively processing all the layers to finally reach a centered groundedness. And that is where I said, let's create the nation, because you have been seeing a lot in the world lately. Um, a lot of pull apart again. And that is what they want. This spiritual and mind, um, mind maze to create society to rip apart again from our thoughts, from our feelings, from our expressions, from our excitement, and then culturally ripping everybody apart from who is a specific race and a color and who can do this teaching and who can do that action. Because the more that they separate and segregate us all, the easier it is to manipulate minorities versus a majority. So if we can really hone in and take these responsibilities, not because I'm telling you that this is an opportunity forward for you, that you literally know why you have come to my sessions or my retreats or these videos, and really calibrate in what are you still desiring the faith to live by versus standing and acting and claiming what your destiny is. Because this year of myself and my partner, of my family, and many other people who have been collectively working with changing and claiming their destinies this year, have really seen a lot of impact and have taken steps back to anchor in something very strong, because this next phase that we're going into in 2024 is going to ask a lot out of society, people, and also what their values and stands are at this point. And if you thought that this is what had to happen in the early 20s of our societal holy shit pandemics, you are going to find out that the coming years are going to be testing even more, because we have surrendered lots of information about who we are and what we are in a fearful state. But they do not know who you are as somebody who is grounded and very anchored into your virtues and your values. So that is why we are creating the niche network, because this is where we want to have more people understand that they are safe to have very grounded and very collected understandings of why they are here to be as this person. Now, some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it, and some people are just going to pick and choose what kind of spice they want to have on top of this life buffet. And I would highly recommend for you all to read the post that I just posted, because it is talking about the life buffet. And that life buffet If you have ever been to a buffet, you have so many choices, and maybe that might be a societal experiment. A lot of people don't like buffets because there's so many people touching and sneezing and licking and picking out of these unsanitary life buffet lines. But that's the reality of what kind of life we live in. You can choose what you buy, what you wear, what you stand up, what you smell like, what you work for. So life has this buffet line, but there is everybody's energies connected and contaminating your spaces. But the more that you start to realize what it is you're actually there for and why you're actually choosing this and holding a plate to ask to fill it up, and why you haven't felt fulfilled, this is the reality of just go and experience that. Go and sit there with an empty plate at a buffet line and just look around, see the people that are there. What is the energy like? What is the food like? What's triggering you in your bodies? And when you start to actually do these living experiences or experiments to see what you are feeling like, you can't go and expect you're going to be fully understood and really gathered when somebody comes at you with conflict, when somebody comes with you with a judgment or a manipulation. And so that has been literally 30 years of my life to process that, because there has been so many stages in my life that massive judgment or or conflicts or condescending um actions and people have been a part of my life. So when you see those things constantly happening in your life, either you have to understand that you are the problem, and knowing that you're putting yourself in these situations, and that's where you can go and take that plate, put it in the dirty wash because you've touched that, and step out and walk away from there. Or you can start to sample and say, you know what, I've never tried this before. Maybe I should try this because I've limited myself to only certain things, or I've created so much indecision in my life that I don't know how to make these choices. And if you start to make yourself do this work and these actions, you're going to start having reality checks of what it is that you actually are believing or thinking in. So the more that you allow that abundance to always show up in your life, and know that you don't have to irrationally make choices and stuff yourself and then feel guilty and disgusting and all of these things after, you have a motherfucking choice in this life. The things that we talk about of no choice, or this is how I was born, or this is my gender, and this is all these different things, stop making the illusion that you have not had choices, because you have chosen these soul contracts. You have chosen this lifetime, your parents, and you've also chosen your discovery in this lifetime. So the more that you segregate and always play victim to this, there's a difference when we have people saying that, when they say, "Well, I was born into this family and I have no choice because this is what needs to be done." You have to understand there's a very fine line to all of this. All of this is in a balance. And so when you understand that, yes, you have no choice to process your karmic debt load, and we'll express more of that on what those debt loads of karma is, that if you just constantly sit there, and it's like your bank accounts in this living life, if you're always in debt and you're always making quote unquote poor choices, then you have to understand, where do you have no value, no worth? Why do you have to go through this certain phase or stage in your life to allow yourself to be the metamorphosis into what true values and expressions need to be? So as energy, it has to be positive and it has to be negative to make energy and work between the molecules to create energy, to create heat, to create a connection. So the more that you keep thinking you're just going to stay positive and love and light, we now have contaminated love and light. So if you've all seen this whole big study about authenticity is now the highest vibration and frequency, is because you authentically need to have balance of negatives and positives to work towards and against each other to create life. So the more that you have the abilities to understand what is hurting, what is damaged, what is not acceptable, gather that up, just like if you were going through your debt in your bank accounts, collect these statements of all the things that you are struggling in, and then allow yourself to really process, how do we constructively and effectively start emitting? Because if you constantly are reflecting out and not saying that this is what you're taking in, you're always going to have something at your door, always pushing all of this at you. So that's why people have anxiety. That's why people have stress. That's why people feel not intimate. They don't feel secure. They don't feel heard. So all of this stuff is constantly at your door. So instead of just shutting everybody out of your life, have a lobby in your network. Welcome that energy in and have like a video camera in the corner and observe, experience, take the plate and allow yourself to process out, what are you willing to sample or what needs to be a tool to help you curate a better result or solution. If you've talked to any inventors, designers, entrepreneurs, people who are chefs or builders, everybody chooses different materials and things and ingredients and energies as a chemist to see how does that react and what results can you get. So when everybody tells me, "Oh, I just don't want to deal with that bad energy or that bad medicine or that bad person or they're voodoo or they're satanic or they're dark or they're evil." Stop. You are making up a bigger monster and story than instead of really getting to the root of why this is happening. So, as you collectively understand these different energies, they're just trying to show you where is there maybe a leaky spot or a thin layer to your experience because nobody can control you. You can't control anybody. All you can control is your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions to any set theme, idea, or feeling or action you put out there. And so the more that you start to hone in yourself, you see that wisdom come forward. And that's where we have had so many beautiful um, slogans throughout the year is the more that you resist, more will persist in your energy. And from our famous slogan this summer has been rejection is your protection. So the more that you allow yourself to really anchor in that sometimes you're not supposed to be there or you're not supposed to have a certain reaction right now or you're not supposed to really act in a certain way, understand there's a balance between what's maybe asking you to step out of that layer versus what might be just needing a little bit more time to really bubble in, marinate, and have the abilities to then really be the cherry on top of that experience. So, the more that you keep allowing these things to just keep bombarding your energy, the drowning happens. The I fail energy comes in. I'm not good enough. You're not good enough. All of these different things start to drown the actual voice and the actual love and heart you have. And all of this just starts to become anger, depression. We start to have retaliation. And there's all of these different breakouts that start to happen. And so, as you start to realize what you need to anchor in, this is where I want to make things very clear moving forward about why all of what we've just talked about needs to have a safe container that really holds that lobby for you to experience and to process this, and then make your authentic choice of what is in your highest good. And sometimes hard knocks are for your highest good, because I can literally express the things that I have struggled with the most in my life make me have such a strong foundation now after I went and hand picked and pulled all the thorns, worked out all the septic wounds, and really understood what I got to a fundamental basis that I can finally vet in myself when I make that voice or that choice or that action, that I know where I'm truly coming from. And people are going to tell you that, oh, so now you're always right. Oh, now you're always a know it all. Oh, now you always don't have anything bad happening to you. That is people's reflections of what they are struggling with in themselves. So if you start to hear people saying, I don't like you anymore because you never show up, you never do this, you never do that, and that is the facts that you have just said that they have not done or they have not been able to process, then you have to understand you are just a part of the training cycle for somebody to process out what it is that they are internally processing and dealing with. But you must always take that information and use that to start sifting out what you might have that also needs to be more accountable, more reliable, more understandable, more communicative, right? It's not that you're not dealing with it. There might be just a majority for that person to process versus yours might be the minority, or vice versa. So do not keep taking things as an attack, because the more that you want to trust friends telling you advice or information, or having family being there to support you through good and ungood times, you have to understand that these are going to be checks and balances. So at the Niche Nation, we will have checks and balances, and we will be more clear and communicative moving forward. We also are going to have a zero policy of people that are not willing to do the work will no longer have the container to do that work in, and they are more than welcome to come back when they have really understood that this is a platform that they can authentically experience and have temper tantrums and motions to really process out what it is. And then after that processing comes in, then we can have into the deeper layers with the niche network, that we can start having collective workshops, that we can have collective meet and greets, how we can have different podcasts, how different stories and connections and experiences come forward truthfully and raw and authentic. Because the more that everybody wants to just keep saying that they're here, but then not being very active or healthy in their communities or in their homes or their four walls, or there's a lot of shadow or competition or manipulation or judgment that keeps coming out of it. No, that is not what we're trying to help curate a new nation, because this is a prophecy that has come forward that we must unite all brothers and sisters collectively in a bigger purpose than what the humanness experience is trying to provide, and our ancestors are calling out to those that are listening and hearing the call to understand they must stand for a higher vibration of living and life. The more you keep accepting and enabling, you will start thinking you're fixing and then ultimately killing more of the vibrational, unaware people because you are not authentically standing as lighthouses on these rocky shores. So, that is why Niche Nation is having some very high askings and um, connection verification to allow people to really understand this is not Shanice going out and saying, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not working hard enough. No, that's not it. You are projecting to me what it is you are willing and actually doing. There's huge differences. So if I am saying I don't authentically see that you are being your real self right now, it's not a judgment. It is literally what you are energetically, frequencyingly, whatever the word is, vibrating out that you know that you can do better. And so all it is we are holding strong accountability platforms. And that is why I said there's going to be some people that really don't appreciate it, and that's totally fine. There are so many people out in this world that are willing to do those different actions, but there's a bigger calling that I have been asked to stand with. And I understand that this is going to take a lot of processing in the future. And I am here to hear and accept that. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people who are so relieved and knowing that they have somewheres to finally come and really the nail this bullseye down and state what is important. So understand that we have this next journey of the winter solstice to work together, and we have Blossom coming up in 2024 on April the 4th till the 9th, possibly some days after, depending on how many people need more time to integrate. And that is where you're going to see this next direction of Blossom transpire, as we are very based in teaching all of you your directions and your experiences to authentically understand that there's so much more on how you can navigate life versus you just feeling lost in this wilderness and this meat suit experience. So that's going to be happening in Souk, BC. There's also going to be a huge launching of our 2024 year calendar, and we will be launching my first book in 2024, the spring of 2024, and that is going to be on a bit of a book tour, and we will have some different conferences and also some expos I'm going to be attending, and there's going to be some amazing retreats that I've been asked to be a part of already this year, to help facilitate and really bring in why your story, your experience, and your medicine and teachings are super crucial to bring forward in this next phase that we are about to experience in the big old wide world. So, I will leave that as such, and I will just go through some of the comments. Yeah, exactly. No matter how broken you are, there's always a choice to heal. All, always. And that's where, like we said, please just be patient, and there's all kinds of different seasons, and we will talk about that in the niche nation. We will teach you about seasons. We were going to be doing that as a annual course, but I think we'll break it down here instead, so people just have some more tools in their back pockets to help keep really understanding what they are chosen as claiming the destiny in these lifetimes. So remember this traumatic generational trauma that constantly is persisting in your family. Understand this holiday season, you might have to make some choices specifically on how you want to sample and take the plate to this life buffet. And I hope that really helps you guys moving forward, making some choices about career, finances, relationships. What's your next awareness growth stage that you really want to get to? You know, we always practice that in Thanksgiving in October for Halloween is really where our year end is, and that we are already in the new year. So having that ability to honor um not to put all this extra pressure on you of how you want to see this new year. You've given thanks, you've given that energy of just really processing out. So if you can allow this January and Christmas season to not just be all about this keeping up with the Joneses attitude, and authentically just processing out some real raw truth and uncut, like, don't keep trying to dance around these themes, and understand that you have the ability to really navigate this with some truth and some propulsion into this next phase of your life, and start releasing the decaying anger and judgments and manipulations and sabotaging and failures, so that you can start growing in and preserving. Right now is the season of winter that we'll talk about on December the 21st, of what wisdom we understand to preserve for the years to come and this winter. So hopefully that all makes sense, and that gives a bit more clarity and transparency on why and what has been happening in this last little while. And we are so excited to see you. Like I said, December the 21st at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Then we are going to be also launching that day our collective campfires. And so if you want to learn more about that, just watch the information and links below, that we will post what the collective campfire is, our new mission to help bring light and gathering and teachings authentically in the way mankind was asking for ourselves to unite. So we are super excited to launch a virtual campfire that day at 11:11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we will be hosting a collective campfire at Rock Lake Earth Lodge here in Alberta, north of Hinton. And we are excited to have people showing up at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we will be, once we've gathered everyone, going out at dark to set our first sacred fire. So hopefully you all have an amazing rest of your week, and getting geared up for our winter solstice, and really taking some time to process out what you have heard and experienced here today at the Niche Nation. So remember to stay connected to why destiny is calling you. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.